CM Punk got the AEW Championship back, but he also got an MJF, and what appears to be a mental breakdown in the post-show media scrum. Yes, everything's definitely fine at good old AEW. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is my review of All Out 2022 in about 10 minutes, or at least I'll try to do it in 10 minutes. The show was about 98 matches long. But hey, if this is your first time watching WrestleTalk and you like daily wrestling news and review coverage, make sure to give us a subscribe and enable notifications to always on.
Support WrestleTalk!
When Excalibur wasn't running through the 138 upcoming matches for the main card, AEW just about had time for 4 wrestling matches on the 0-hour pre-show. The pay-per-view was literally a car crash from the start, as Sammy Guevara got run over again by another golf buggy, this time driven by Ortiz and Ruby Soho. Anna Jay helped Tay Conti get the win in the ensuing intergender tag match that I only just realized was for the AAA mixed tag titles. This could have been cut. Hook retained his FTW title against Angelo Parker, with celebrity cameo from the person who does his entrance music, Action Bronson, in the post-match angle. This could have been cut. Pac beat Dan Layton in his AEW debut. This match was also for a title, the All-Atlantic Championship to be exact. This promotion is flooded with championships, and as a result, they mean increasingly little. Kip Sabian is super charismatic and a very good wrestler, but appears destined for the undercard, talking to his box helmet and losing in his first match back after over a year and a half out. Would have had a much better chance of getting over in defeat if this had time to breathe by itself on an episode of Dynamite. Pac set up a feud with Orange Cassidy for the belt afterwards. But then came the pre-show match we all wanted most. Hell, this was actually my most anticipated match for the whole night. Eddie Kingston versus Ishii. They did 2 minutes of straight chopping, a stiff slap to the face exchange, and loads of no-selling suplexes. It's like they watched Gunther versus Sheamus from the previous night and thought, lightweights. It was 2 guys trying not to sell, and in the process doing the best, most believable selling of the entire night. Eddie won this excellent punk rock song of a match, but this is again bittersweet. Kingston should be in a major match against Danielson on this card, coming off the Jericho feud, but through ineffective booking and Kingston's own backstage behavior, it didn't happen. The main card opened with the Casino Battle Royal ladder match of Wheeler Yuta, Rey Fenix, Rush, Andrade, Cesaro, Dante Martin, Pentagon, and the AEW debut of Retribution. Tony, I think these ex-WWE signings are getting out of hand. It wasn't just the masked men who looked sports entertainment, the finish was as well, with them laying out the other 7 guys, a man revealing himself to be Stokely Hathaway unhooking the chip, and then just handing it over to a mystery man wearing a devil mask. Vacant? It was a lame finish in the moment, but one that, in retrospect, made total sense, especially with the Mystery Man's poetically apt entrance music. The Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil, pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Thanks for your support on Patreon, the $100 Man CD Horver, and Angelic Angelo Mercado. You can get your own shout out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. The next match picked things right back up though, with the Dark Order and Hangman Page wrestling a fantastic match filled with character drama against a back to full power Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. The crowd exploded every time Hangman and Kenny interacted, each move filled with years of backstory. The final moments almost felt like a Kenny versus Hangman singles match, complete with Full Gear 2021 echo spot of Matt Jackson holding Page's leg this time to stop a buckshot lariat. It was John Silver, funnily enough, who got the best near falls in the final moments, but Hangman accidentally clobbered him with a buckshot, letting Kenny get the win to become the inaugural Trios champions. A brilliant match, but Hangman's sad boy shtick is getting a little thin. Maybe he should try calling out CM Punk again. Jade Cargill's She-Hulk inspired entrance, just avoiding a Shockmaster style trip, felt longer than the actual match. She retained her TBS title against Athena in just over 4 minutes. For a feud that's been building for over 3 months, this deserved longer. But at least it's good to see more diversity in the women's title picture. Shout out to all the green people! Wardlow and FTR beat Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns in a decent match. Samoa Joe made his return in the post-match angle, but only got half the pop of Dax Harwood's 8-year-old daughter coming out to mock pin Sanjay Dutt. Hopefully Joe isn't back in the Jay Lethal mid-card vortex. Again, this was all bittersweet. Very cool to see the machine guns, but Wardlow and FTR should be having their own singles and tag title feuds respectively. This just felt like it was booked to give people without a meaningful storyline a place on the card, which wasn't the case for Powerhouse Hobbs beating Ricky Starks in 5 minutes, but that got shortchanged too. This had one of the more emotional builds going in, but was treated like a throwaway mid-card angle. This would have been much better again placed on TV, giving the loser enough breathing room to get over in defeat. Now Starks, one of the big success stories of August, kayfabe feels like a chump. Thankfully, then came my match of the night. The superheated Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed bout for the Tag Team Championships. From Caster's opening rap, where he called Keith Lee Lizzo, a match full of energetic "Oh, scissor me daddy" chants from the crowd, to the final third of incredible near falls. This stood out so much because the Acclaimed's acts feels more sports entertainment. How do you differentiate yourself when all in-ring wrestling is amazing? You do an Attitude Era act with Billy Gunn. Both Lee and Swerve accidentally hit each other at points, continuing their awkward tag dynamic, allowing for the Acclaim to get some credible near wins. Both Bowens and Caster rose to the occasion so much that it felt like it was worth calling an audible and putting the titles on them. But Swerve and Our Glory got their act together and retained. Daddy Ass scissored Lee in sportsmanlike respect afterwards, keeping the idea that Lee is a face. But try telling that to the crowd. They were so into the Acclaimed here, it might be best leaning into that reaction and just turning Keith too if you're going to keep the champs together. Oh my god, we're only halfway through the main card and there's 5 matches left. Toni Storm won the interim women's championship 4-way, with the crowd mostly into Jamie Hayter. Britt Baker tried an opportunistic win on her faction mate, which will hopefully finally lead to them splitting. Full Gear was announced to take place in the New York area of New Jersey. Then we got another long-awaited grudge match that was more angle than payoff. Luchasaurus brutally turned on Jungle Boy Jack Perry during their entrance, throwing his carcass in the ring for Christian to beat in 20 seconds. Apparently Christian did have a shoulder injury that's very serious, which meant he couldn't wrestle an actual match. That aside, I would have much preferred Luchasaurus never fake siding with Jungle Boy all those weeks ago, and we just got this angle on TV to build the payoff here. Chris Jericho beat Bryan Danielson in a terrific in-ring match, starting with technical mat wrestling, transitioning into Jericho nostalgia spots, and then an intense back and forth in the final act. But by this point, I'd watched 12 other matches, and my brain was a little fried. And also, yet again, Jericho wins LOL, hitting a low blow behind the referee's back, then a Judas effect, it's Judas effective, for the win. Daniel Garcia didn't join in the JAS celebration, potentially leading to him leaving the faction. Compulsory Sting 6-man tag on pay-per-view time. Woo! Woo! Sting, Darby and Miro beat the House of Black off a very cool Sting misting Malachi Black spot for the finish. Again, really good in-ring wrestling, but I've seen so much. And 2 other 6-person tags, this could have been cut. Interestingly, Black hugged his teammates after the loss and waved goodbye to the crowd. An odd act for a goth heel, leading to speculation he is done with the company following reports he'd asked for his release. And the main event saw CM Punk defeat Jon Moxley in a super big-time, fiercely intense title fight. Despite the crowd being exhausted for the last hour, the crowd was nuclear throughout, not always knowing whether they wanted to cheer or boo Moxley, and both men told a great story around Punk's injured foot and teasing an early GTS finish. Ultimately though, Punk hit 2 back-to-back GTSs to win. A really good match, but in hindsight, a suboptimal rush story with a predictable result that could have been a much bigger deal. The summer of Mox deserved more, but it will likely just be a footnote now to what AEW had planned all along. The lights cut out, and an answer phone message played of Tony Khan offering someone a casino ladder match spot, loads of money, and a promise he won't have to sign an extension. Then a clip of Punk from ROH over 15 years ago played of his I'm a Snake promo. Then there's a shot backstage of the devil person who won the ladder match earlier on, taking off their mask and putting on a Burberry scarf. Before MJF walked out to a monster babyface pop in front of the live crowd as Excalibur called the devil is back. Suddenly everything made sense. The ladder match finish, the Rolling Stones song, the mask. MJF feels renewed and reset for a continuation of the greatest wrestling story in my lifetime. MJF versus CM Punk, now with the world title. There are questions, both good and bad. Expect the lack of an extension to be a huge storyline factor. He could win the belt and tease leaving the company. A winter of MJF. Does he have yet another faction in cahoots notes with Hathaway, or did he just pay them off? But most interestingly, does AEW think he's a babyface or a heel? They've played a dangerous game booking MJF as an anti-company character 3 months ago. I believe wrestling fans are anti-authoritarian in nature, so they tend to side against the boss with all the billions of dollars. And hearing the Chicago crowd cheer MJF, this could work against AEW, especially with Punk's comments in the post-show. What did you think of All Out? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to be honest, I loved the MJF stuff. I loved Kingston versus Ishii. Everything else was too much. 15 matches, 5 hours. I can't in good conscience criticize the 3-hour length of Raw every week and then say this was an enjoyable experience. It's either unfocused, undisciplined booking or weak and cowardly booking, not wanting to cause further unrest in the locker room. Correlation or causation, but you look at the last month of backstage unrest reports and you wonder if that's related to AEW's biggest pay-per-view card ever. It's an ineffective way to keep everyone halfway happy. The promotion is flooded with titles and talent, and that's not a good thing. AEW All Out is 75%, almost a 4 out of 5, but far below what I expect from this company.
All Out 2022 has just concluded, and MJF is back in AEW. And he's going to be facing CM Punk for the AEW World title. A lot of things to unpack here.